Good morning, it's November 21st, and this is To My Liberal Friends. Well, today President Trump will meet with Zoran Mamdani in the Oval Office. I'm not sure if they will televise the entire meeting, but I'd sure like to be a fly on the wall if they do not. You can also be sure that Trump will at some time open up the meeting to questions from the press, and both he and Mamdani will have to take these questions. Unlike his predecessor, Trump never shies away from taking questions. And I've been asking, what is the direction of the policy of the Democratic Party? Knowing they control the party and where it's headed remains a heated debate. I think we're getting some answers to those questions. Democrats celebrated the victory of Zoran Mamdani in New York. He freely admits that he's a socialist, and he's recommending in New York is nothing more than a government takeover of people's lives. And here are just a few examples. Free public transportation. He wants to make all buses free across New York City. Now, I'm not sure where the New York subway system fits in his plan, but I have to assume that he wants that to be free as well. Universal health care. He's demanding that there be free, high-quality child care for children between the age of 6 weeks and 5 years old. Not sure what happens when those children reach the age of 6, but that's not really free. What he really means is zero-price child care. He would subsidize child care so that parents would pay nothing. Daycare would still cost, but the cost would be borne by taxpayers instead of the parents. Moreover, he would purposely increase its cost. He advocates raising the wage of child care workers to equal the pay of public school teachers. Then he wants to freeze the rents for all rent-stabilized apartments in New York. Rent control was introduced in New York City as a temporary measure in 1943 during World War II. 82 years later, it still remains. People who already have an apartment in the city like this idea. Those on the outside trying to find an apartment will find it doesn't work so well for them. Outsiders are people who don't have an apartment, but they're looking. Many of them would prefer that rents rise 10% or more so that they can more easily find apartments. But they, plus the landlords, are outvoted by the insiders. So Mamdani has said he wants to create city-run grocery stores, that he will somehow lower the price on staple foods. Mamdani advocates having the government start 5 grocery stores, one in each of New York City's 5 boroughs. He estimates that doing so will cost $60 million. He doesn't make clear whether it's per year or one time. It's probably per year. Why? Because his own campaign statement says the stores will, quote, will buy and sell at wholesale prices. If you're selling at the same price you paid, you're going to lose money on every item. He also wants to increase the minimum wage to $30 per hour. And I'm sure that will attract small business owners. That would be a 57% increase in the real minimum wage. Such a highly legislated wage would put a lot of workers out of work. Remember, the minimum wage law doesn't guarantee workers a job at that wage. All it guarantees is if you get a job, it will pay you at least the minimum wage. But it's precisely the fact that the job must pay the minimum wage that makes lower skilled employees less likely to get jobs. A large fraction of the labor force started at low wage, and it was those entry-level jobs that gave them a chance to acquire skills and earn higher wages later. Mamdani's stiff minimum wage proposal would get in the way of this natural transition, making life much harder for the relatively unskilled. He's also proposed increasing tax on high-income individuals and companies. And yet he must not understand the issue because when questioned by CNN reporter Aaron Burnett, he seemed completely lost. He said he wanted to increase taxes by 2% on those making $1 million a year. He said it would be a $20,000 increase. But what if you're making, say, $2 million? Then it'd be $40,000. So when Burnett correctly pointed out that he would be proposing a 51% tax increase on those people, he seemed befuddled. He said, quote, we're saying that we're increasing it by 2% of what is right now. No, he's not. If he were increasing by 2% what is now, that would be an increase of merely measly 0.08 of a percentage point. That rate would rise from 3.876 to 3.954. But that's not what he's doing. And as bad as Mamdani looks, if you look out west in Seattle, you'll see something worse. They just elected Katie Wilson with someone even less experienced than Mamdani as their mayor, and she's an avowed socialist. She admits that she lives on the money her parents send, so they must be capitalists. Like the mayor-elect in New York, Wilson wants to open government-run grocery stores, despite their record of failure. She suggested during a September event that she won't allow private supermarkets to close locations that aren't profitable. Instead, she wants them to require to give more notice and pay generous severance packages to employees. Quote, access to affordable, healthy food is a basic right, she said. This woman lives in a dream world. And unfortunately, the people living in those two cities, New York and Seattle, are going to find out the hard way that their socialism ideas are not going to work. They will only drive people and businesses out of those cities, and in the end, it'll be poorer and less safe. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.